It's really important to be mindful of our judgments of other people, in particular when it comes to sensual and sexual expression. I know that there is a time and a place for certain things, and especially within African community, there's like different cultures and different ways of being. But personally, with my experience, as I have said before on here, I grew up in the church. I interned in the church. I studied at Bible college. I was an evangelist for a short period of time. And coming out of the church, I found myself finding ways of expressing my sensual and sexual energy. And also, as someone that has gone through numerous experiences with sexual violence, abuse, assault, I was molested at a really young age, and this was all at the hands of African men, particularly African uncles. I experienced grooming, and then I also experienced not being heard by my family when I finally came to the point years later of voicing what had happened to me. And in my early 20s, as a way of reclaiming, and that wasn't the only thing that happened to me, by the way, in terms of sexual violence. I went through multiple things in my early 20s and my teens, whatever. As a way of reclaiming my sexual, creative life force and energy back, I went into sex work, and and it was only like online sex work for a short period of time. If you followed me on Instagram for the last, I don't know, like 7 years or something, I don't know when it was, 5 years, you would have probably seen this wave of expression that I went through. And the main reason that I did that was to reclaim my sexual energy for myself. I think that people can think that when you go into explicitly expressing yourself sexually, especially within the African community, people can think that you, as a feminized being, or a female, or a woman, you are wanting attention. A lot of the time when we choose to go into sex work, it's not because we want attention, it's because we're healing violence. And it's a very powerful way of using currency, money, to exchange with those that want that intimacy or even healing from you as well. And it's also a way of taking your power back instead of people constantly taking from you without your permission. It's a way to be like, this is what I charge, this is how I express myself, and this is how I'm doing it, and these are my boundaries, right? I think in African community, doing sex work can be really demonized, especially within religious community. It's always seen as a negative thing, a negative thing, a negative thing. And yeah, sure, it can be, and not everyone, for different reasons, like people go into it because they don't have any other choice when it comes to income and stuff like that. I completely understand that experience as well, and acknowledging that I'm in the diaspora as well, so it's kind of a different experience, different ways of thinking, which is fine. But I think there needs to be less judgment when it comes to sexual expression. I also wanted to note that I had a situation not long ago where an African uncle was pretty much flirting with me in front of other African community. This was probably like a year ago or so. And as a neurodivergent neurodivergent babe, and not even being neurodivergent, like just being in situations where you don't really know what to do, or you're just used to it. You know the uncle, because it's usually an uncle. You know, I just kind of laugh things off sometimes, and I feel like people perceive that as me flirting back, and it's really not that. It's just me keeping myself safe. And again, being used to this certain person that always does this when they see me and has done this since I was young. It's interesting because it'd be the same uncles when you were like 12, like 10, 11, 12, 13. Now at 32, be the same uncles that be coming around to try to do what they do. So if you're an uncle watching this and you know you be doing that, you really need to stop, because it's really harmful. And I think about that young Nigerian girl, is it Ochanye? I think if I've got her name right, Ochanye Ogbanye, who passed away in 2018, was it? From a disease that she had acquired through sexual violence, and how no one said anything, even when she said that she was going through certain things to the men, to women. No one did anything to stop it, and it's a real shame on both parts, on the men and the woman and whatever in between, our elders within African community, for neglecting us in that way. And then when we, particularly as well, aren't religious and have different ways of claiming back our what has been stolen from us, we are judged. A lot of the time I state that I have a partner because I want people to know, not because I'm in my ego and think that this person is going to be into me. I state that I have a partner because of my protection, because a lot of the time I experience when people don't realize I have a partner, it's more of a gateway for them to violate my energy. Just because someone is sexually expressive or free or does sex work or whatever, or dressed a certain way, does not mean that is the go for you to approach them out of your own urges. You know, I feel like and specifically with the African community I'm speaking to, and if others relate, cool, but and men in particular, because I feel like this is quite a man thing. Like, I'm over that Jezebel mentality of, and when I say Jezebel, I'm saying it like that because I don't believe that's actually the truth of Jezebel in the Bible. But anyway, you know, or even Mary Magdalene, you know, like it's the feminized or the woman's fault for expressing themselves a certain way. So of course they're going to get raped, of course they're going to be judged, of course they're going to be critiqued. You know, not everyone is living for the male gaze. Like, if I'm dressed a certain way, or expressing myself a certain way, it's not because I give a fuck about I don't know, this person's husband, or getting this man's attention, or getting people's attention. I'm dressing this way because this is how I feel most like myself in my body at this current point in time. And like I said, yes, there's a time and a place and different cultures and blah, blah, blah. But still, regardless of different cultures and everything, there should be a lot less judgment in community. And I think I've found that a lot. I have found that a lot as well within the Christian community and growing up within Christian, religious Christian family. And it just comes to a point where it's like, I'm over it, especially like I took a massive period of time away from the African community on purpose for years, and people didn't know where I was and thought had traveled and hadn't seen me and blah blah blah, because I just was like, you're so judgmental. And we judge our own people so harshly based on what? Based on where are these critiques coming from? It's not even critiques, it's judgment. Is it coming from colonial mentality? Is it just coming from us trying to fit inside? Like, I don't actually understand where it comes from. You know, I really appreciate others and how they express themselves. And I mean, we can all be judgmental about anything, whatever. And I guess there's a difference between observing whether or not something is positive for a certain environment. But yeah, judging a whole person's entire being, or what you think they're going to do, or who you think they are, because of what you see on social media or because of how they dress, is really, firstly, shallow. And I find that comes from elders a lot. And when I say elders, I just mean older people. Oh my gosh, there was this one time where I think I was like in the middle of doing sex work online, which is completely different, by the way, it was a completely different experience from doing sex work in person. Like, it's like way lighter work, and that's why I did it, because I'm quite a spiritually sensitive person and I get drained quickly. But yeah, anyway, I was doing what I do, and then I got this call from my grandpa who was in Ghana. He's passed away now. And I knew I was in trouble. I knew I was in trouble when I didn't pick up. I was like, no, I'm not picking up. And I'm pretty sure my mum was like, oh, your grandpa's trying to call you about this and this. And I was like, oh, God. And it wasn't about sex work. I think it was because they didn't know that I was doing it. It was about, or we hadn't discussed it. Maybe they didn't know. It was more so about just my expression, the way I was expressing myself online. And I think he left a voice message or something and was saying that he's so like polite. or the ways that I got to receive him. But he was pretty much just like letting me know that he had seen how I had been expressing myself. I'm sorry, Grandpa. No, just kidding. And he was like, you will regret it, you know. And it was more of it wasn't like, you will regret it. It was like a concerned, you'll regret it. And as I said, he's passed away now, and I'm thinking about it now. And I was thinking about, do I regret it? Like, because he is a benevolent ancestor. He's a venerated ancestor of mine, so my fornamnon, and not every ancestor is, right? So it's funny now being able to talk to him as he's elevated. But yeah, he did not approve. But in my 32 years of age now, not very old, but with a little bit more life experience than I had before, I actually don't regret it. You know, it taught me so much. It did, in effect, do what I needed it to do, which was like teach me about my sexual energy, let me have control over it. This was also after a time period where I had been really, really sexually free, which was very fun, outside of sex work. So yeah, that was another way of harnessing my energy. And now I am celibate and have been celibate for the last few years. So it's like, you know, you can do different things and like, even now I still get judgment, like I was saying, for ways that I express myself, even though I'm celibate. Like, so it's real interesting to me, people's perceptions of things, and where these perceptions come from. But yeah, I wanted to say I don't regret it. I don't regret that period of my life. I think I learned what I needed to learn, and I think it's a great way of healing from sexual violence and sexual trauma, if you feel called to. If you don't feel called to, then definitely don't do it, because it's so draining. It's very taxing, mahi. And props to all the sex workers out there that be doing mahi in person. Oh, I don't know how you'll do it, fam. The side of this that I do understand, though, in reflection as well as like cultural modesty and like needing to. I just am like wondering, like, this is just my thought process. I haven't come to any conclusions. I'm just like, you know, are men actually capable of controlling themselves when it comes to like sexual things? Is that why we have these setups in traditional spaces or cultural spaces or even religious spaces where it's like the woman or whatever need to be covered a certain way? Because is it a physical makeup thing within men or something? Like, I don't like that where they don't know, they can't control themselves. Like, surely not, right? Like, I respect like certain spaces, like I've been saying, certain spaces, yeah, be modest if you want, or if you're going to like church, or if you're going to a spiritual place, like, I don't know, obviously whatever. But then in other spaces, I'm just like, be yourself, express yourself how you want to express yourself, and everyone is accountable for their own sexual energy. We're all accountable for our own sexual life force, and maybe if we understood that more, there wouldn't be so much boundary crossing, or like thinking as well, like, I'm not responsible for someone else's addictions, you know outside, like if I step outside, I can't be responsible for someone else's addictions, because that's what it is at the end of the day. If you have a problem like with controlling yourself around people that you find sexually attractive that are expressing themselves in a certain way, then like that's your issue, isn't it? Why is it my issue? And why do you inherently think that I am calling you to come closer to me? Because I'm attractive to you? Like, that doesn't, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, something needs to change, and I'm wondering how that's going to change. Obviously it will change once we start addressing it. So here I am on the internet, as I've been doing, addressing things that are uncomfortable, but I just really want to see change. I don't want to keep going around in the same circles, like, of generational trauma and a lack of healing. And healing comes through questioning things, and it comes through what I learned when I went into studying rongoa, and it was mentioned was it comes through the korero, like, it's the conversation that brings the healing. And that was Joanne Hakaraya from Rongoa Modi that said that. I'll put their deets up here. Yeah, because I really believe that. I believe that the healing does come through the conversation, and but if we keep avoiding the conversation, which continuously happens when it comes to sexual abuse, violence, and all of that stuff, nothing gets healed. It's just repetitively repeated, and it's horrible. It's horrible. So, yeah, I guess, like, if you want to put your corridor in the comments.